Welcome to Essex County College's Community Education Forum TV series. Now here's your host, Mr. Alfred Bundy.
Welcome to Essex County College's Community Education Forum. I'm your host, Alfred Bundy, and the Executive Director of Institutional Advancement here at the college. Essex County College has been often described as the house that Zach built. Our megastructure is named in honor of our ECC President Emeritus, A. Zachary Yamba. Today, we recognize another outstanding member of the Yamba family, Dr. Yamba's daughter. She is a renowned and acclaimed person in her own right, an artist extraordinaire. She's been described as a textile artist who creates beautiful portrait quilts. She is one of New Jersey's most acclaimed and accomplished artists. It's my honor to welcome Bisa Butler to the forum. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Bundy. I'm happy to be here.
Well, in a way, you may be just back home. I'm so glad to see you here. I was just reflecting on some of the cookouts we used to have in the backyards when I was a trustee with your dad and seeing you then. When did you know you wanted to be an artist?
I always felt like I was an artist. I really don't have a memory of not being one. I remember my father and my mother encouraging me since I was tiny. I actually remember being here at Essex around 3 years old, running through the halls and coming here on a Saturday when my father had some work to do. He would take us upstairs and me and my sister would just color on typewriter paper at the time. So I always felt like that I was an artist, and my family supported that.
Now, when did you get your first level of recognition? I understand you were like in some contest at a very young age.
Yes. Well, first I was Artist of the Month in preschool.
Oh, in preschool?
In preschool,
okay, now.
At Sundance Preschool, and I didn't understand the concept of a month. So I remember the bulletin board. I couldn't read, but I could read my name, B-I-S-A. And at the end of the month, the name changed. I remember being outraged and like, confused, but I'm Artist of the Month. But a month to a 4-year-old means forever. Like, when is a month over?
I got you. I got you. So you wanted to be like, you would have made the Artist of the Year or more.
Or yes, Artist Emeritus of the preschool.
Talk to us about maybe some of the artists who influenced you that you look to.
I went to a historically black college. I went to Howard University. And at Howard, we were taught early on about the professors, their artwork, and my professors' professors, who were people like Romare Bearden, Jacob Lawrence, Alma Thomas, Elizabeth Catlett, even Faith Ringgold. All of these amazing black artists were educators. And that's how it was prior probably to, say, 1960, to be an artist and be a person of color, you had to also do something else.
To kind of help keep yourself sustained and have a livelihood, right?
Exactly. They didn't have the luxury of stepping off away from other careers that would pay your light bills and just do art. And a lot of them were very highly educated. They traveled in Europe, they traveled in Africa. And those black educators, artists, were my first teachers and still remain my inspiration to this day.
Wow. I had the great honor for 4 years to be the videographer for the Romare Bearden Foundation in New York City. And I certainly have a deep appreciation for his talent and all that he has given the world. I also understand earlier in your career you spent some time in the classroom. You taught in a couple of our Essex County school districts. What was it like teaching art?
I love teaching. I taught for 10 years at American History High School in Newark, and our principal was Robert Gregory. And then I taught at my alma mater, which is Columbia High School in Maplewood, for the last 3 years of my career. I just loved it. There is a communication between student and teacher, and it's something that you can't get anywhere else. My husband worked in the corporate sector, and he would come home from work and he'd just be tired. We'd both be tired, but I was the one who during the day felt fulfilled constantly because I would have students sit down and finally get into something when these students might have been disconnected all day. And it was nothing more rewarding than walking around a room and being around a bunch of, let's say, 30 teenagers who are focused, engaged, and loving what they're doing.
Yeah, there's certain that special joy and fulfillment that comes from lifting others up in an academic way. Your portrait quilts are extraordinary. They have become just renowned and recognized all over the place. How did you become interested in this unique medium?
Well, thank you. First of all, how did I always was interested in drawing faces. I've always been interested in the human condition since I was a little girl. And when I went over to Howard, they didn't have fibers as an option. Most fine arts curriculum are drawing, painting, mixed media, sculpture, or you could have now like digital media. But the manipulatives were never fabric or fiber. Those are materials that were really considered things that you did at home. And as African Americans, that was something that was considered more old-fashioned, something that people did unfortunately, in the era when we were enslaved and in the sharecropping era.
And of course, they were weaving and to make clothes and things to keep people warm.
To keep people warm.
Or put something around themselves.
Yeah.
But how did you get there, too?
And I got there by really the dedication and the personal interest of my professors at Howard. The head of the art department was Jeff Donaldson, who was a famous portrait artist coming out of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and was very active in the Black arts movement in the 60s. And then my professor, Al Smith, actually came to my studio one day, the studio being my dining room in the house where I lived in DC, and challenging me. He said, "You always dress in interesting fabrics and textures, but I don't see any of you in the artwork." And so he was the first one who said, "Why don't you make a portrait using your materials, your fabric?" And that was the very beginning of me discovering that I really liked working with fabric to create portraits. And then over 20 years, I worked out a process that works for me.
It took 20 years to actually, want to say, perfect or get it to where you are comfortable and pleased with. Talk to me about this process. I haven't seen some of your work. I especially was moved by the warmth of the other sun, having read that, not only the book, but understanding that story. But tell us, what's this process like?
The process that I use is not unfamiliar to a painter, and I'm always stressing education. You can learn art on your own, and it can come from within, but I am a person who believes in practice, repetition, and then asking people in that field who are doing something better than you are for their opinion and for those tips. And I start with a drawing, and then as a painter, you mix your colors. You get your palette, red, blue, and yellow, and you can mix all the other colors.
Your colors are
from those
vibrant.
three.
They're so strong.
Right.
And
but how are you going to do that with fabric? You can't mix it. So I had to figure out a way to create depth and layers without having any water. There's no white paint that's going to make something lighter. There's no black to make it darker. And through that process of just playing with color, I began to get better and better at that.
Now, was there somebody else doing this before you exactly with this particular process, or is this kind of your own unique blend or process?
I can say this is just my own unique thing because I had a lot of friends and peers in the quilt world, and I had friends and peers in the painting world, but they don't necessarily mix. These two worlds are separated by social stratification and finances.
So you kind of the fusion.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
I was a fusion between the two different.
And wow, how your art has now just been many places like Los Angeles and Miami and Chicago, and the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. You've been on your cover of Time magazine. You also have work right here in Newark, the Newark Museum,
Yes.
but also internationally, Japan and China and Switzerland and South Africa. How does it feel to you to be able to have touched so many people with this fusion, this unique, this beautiful work?
It feels great, first of all. It feels incredibly rewarding, especially after being in the classroom for so long. When you're in the classroom, you sort of have to convince your students to be on board with what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's amazing to be able to walk in a room and have people be receptive from the start.
Wow.
So that's actually feels a lot easier than working with teenagers because the preconceived notion is that what you have to offer is valid. And unfortunately, that's not always the case in the education system. And I also want to note that I always had very big shoes to fill. I mentioned my grandfather to you earlier, my father. I looked up to people who worked very hard and worked for purposes that were bigger than themselves. And so I'm always thinking about that, about what I need to do in order for me to live up to the promise of what my father and my grandfather, mothers, grandmothers, and my professors.
I think we all want to make our parents proud. You know, usually that's kind of a natural kind of progression in our vision of ourselves. We don't always get there, but some of us get there and way beyond. And just from talking to your father, I can tell you he's extremely pleased and honored and overjoyed and overwhelmed by some of your success, which, you know, we talk a little bit more about, you know, that your work has been featured in the New York Times and Vogue magazine, and last year I think you were on the Smithsonian magazine's front cover. What kind of message do you want to convey or share with young people, especially those who are interested in art?
The message is something that I heard this past weekend, and I was at a lecture, and the lecturer was another artist by the name of Joyce Scott from Baltimore, and she was saying that she often looks to the model of Harriet Tubman, and that she always said to keep going, no matter what, keep going. And that's what the advice that I would give to a lot of young artists. No matter what, keep going. And when it's hard, it doesn't hurt anything for you to make a very small little sketch on a scrap of paper. And it doesn't hurt anything for you to sculpt a little something, even if it's just Play-Doh. That don't give up on your artistic expression, because that's something that was uniquely given to just you. And if you let it go and you stop at it, that's the end of it. Nobody else will get to see what you have to offer.
And talking about being, I guess, hanging in there and having endurance. I saw in one of the interviews I looked at that sometimes your piece can take over 100 hours or 150 hours.
Yes.
And how do you know when you're done?
That is a good question. I mean, I know when I'm done if it looks even semi-close to what I envisioned in my head. It doesn't have to go the full amount, but when I've reached clarity and the image looks the way I want, and I feel that when it looks back at me that I'm seeing what I want, that's enough. I have to step away at times.
Where can somebody find some of your work, or when will you have another major showing? What's coming up on the calendar for you?
Up on the calendar is, I think it's October 9th. I'll be exhibiting at Art Basel Paris. And that's the first time that I'll be exhibiting in Paris, so I'm very excited about that. And then I have a big exhibit.
Now, will you actually be there for some period of time during the exhibit in France?
No, not this time.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I just cannot take the time off to go in. And the art fairs are typically, they're only 3 or 4 days. So going to Paris is a long way to go for a short period of time. If it was going to be a longer exhibit, I would. And then the next big thing I have is an art exhibit in Los Angeles next September. So this whole year, basically I'm just preparing for that, working, getting the message, what do I want to say, and getting the work together that conveys that message to debut in LA.
Fantastic. Well, if people want to find out more about you or find out more about your art, you have a website or something we can share for them to keep aware of your goings?
Sure. I'm at BisaButler.com. I'm also Bisa Butler on Instagram and on TikTok. A shout out to my daughter Santi, who is my manager of my social media. She's been extremely helpful.
Wow.
And my older daughter Tammy is also, I would say she's my advisor on all things business related.
Oh, that's awesome. It's good to have a good family affair.
Yes.
And isn't it nice how that younger generation can come and do that social media stuff and just take you
Absolutely.
to another level?
And one thing I also want to mention is that my husband, John, is working with me full time now.
Awesome.
And he's actually getting ready to debut a whole new print and poster line. And we're working on merchandise as well.
Okay, well, I don't want to get one of them pieces of merchandise or art. I got to
Yes.
figure that out. You know, Bisa, your name means greatly loved, and it is obvious to me that your work is greatly loved throughout the world. And I want to let you know that we greatly love you here at Essex County College, and I want to thank you for finding time to be here on the forum.
Thank you. It means a lot to me. Thank you for having me.
We will be right back, but before we go, take a look at Essex County College's Alumni Corner and meet Patricia Cordona from the class of 2013. Essex County College made a difference in her life. She's now making a difference in the world. Check this out.
At Essex County College, you can receive a quality education at either one of our two great campuses in Newark or West Caldwell. We have plenty of financial aid and scholarships for qualified students. We are proud to be celebrating 55 years of student success. Register today by going to essex.edu or by calling 973-877-4477. I will see you there.
Essex County College kickstarted my career. The professors were a perfect fit and they challenged me. And today, I work as a software engineer. Essex County College was central to my success. They had my back. Who has yours? Be sure to check out Essex County College today. Your career begins here. You may qualify to attend college tuition free. Visit essex.edu.
Welcome back to Essex County College's Community Education Forum. I'm your host, Alfred Bundy. Our next guest has been at Essex County College since 1985. He's had several administrative assignments, and currently he serves as our Dean of Student Affairs. Please welcome back to the forum, Dr. Keith Kirkland. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Bundy. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
Fantastic. Let me ask you, what Dean of Student Affairs, what's your area responsible for? What do you?
Well, as a Dean of Student Affairs, myself and my staff, which it's a lot of different departments, is responsible for ensuring the student experience here is one that leads to success. We are responsible for creating that whole environment where students can come to our institution, become part of it, create a sense of belonging, to help them navigate the various aspects of the college, to help them be successful and reach their academic goals here at the college.
Why don't you tell me some of those different areas of concentration? I know it's athletics, and you can tell me. Yes,
Well, if I can very briefly say that our whole entire college really has a focus on caring for our students, from our presidents to our cabinet members, our board of trustees, our custodial staff, our security staff, our frontline people in our service departments, enrollment service, bursar, financial aid. All of them have that sense of caring and belonging for students. So it's a college-wide movement of care, a culture of care that we want to create here at the institution. So it starts with the top and is permeated through our institution. But to kind of look at
your departments, exactly. What are
well,
they?
the departments in student affairs really consists of our athletic department, our child development center, which I'm proud to say that we're one of the few community colleges in the state of New Jersey that have a child care on campus that we can offer our students child care here. We have our student development and counseling, which houses our career and transfer resources person, our student disabilities, our counselors, our mental health program, and our CAT, our Center for Adult Transition, which works with students who have intellectual and developmental difficulties to help them transition into life from the college into life to help them become productive citizens.
And then you have the student life area. What is that all?
Our student life is a very vibrant, active student life, which consists of our our associate director, associate dean of student development, and she oversees our student life activities, which is responsible for our creating the activities that the students can engage in and become part of it. We have over 44 clubs, we have events, we have our own podcast that's being done for our students. We have various other services that we offer, especially our Office of Student Care Support, which is out of the area of student life and activity that contribute to the student experience here at Essex County College.
You've touched on a little bit, but let's go a little bit farther and really emphasize and highlight what your wraparound services that you provide for students. Let's name them.
Okay, before I talk about the wraparound services, one of the things that we made a very conscious effort to do was to inform our college community of the services. Sometimes our staff, our students, our people, especially our frontline instructors and adjuncts, want to help the students and hear the students, but don't know how to. So we made a conscious effort to inform all of our campus people, our cabinet, our board of trustees, our instructors, all of them, of the services that we offer.
And what are they?
And those are, well, one, I think you already know about our food pantry, what a success that is in helping students who deal with food insecurity. Number two, we have mental health counseling here at our college, which is working to provide mental health services free of charge to students who need the help. We also have a UWIL, which is a telemental health service where students can access mental health service 24 hours a day and see a real live therapist that can assist them on a 24-hour basis. Online, virtually,
Fantastic.
And all. Mm-hmm. And also what we look at is that we have staff that just really reach out and engage the students. You may see, or you might have seen, the student club events that we have, the community events that we have on campus. We just did a voter registration drive for our students and all, so that they can actually register for school. So we at Student Life and Activity take a very comprehensive approach to providing students with services and activities to kind of engage them, give them a sense of belonging, that they belong on our campus, and the fact that we care enough to try to see or to try to meet the needs where the students are.
Yeah, and I know you had the food pantry, I know you have mental health counseling, but what other things you do? I think you also have tutoring and all those types of services.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring it up. Yes, we do. We have a very active learning center, which is housed by a very capable director who provides tutoring service 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and on Saturdays. Mm-hmm. Also, that's in person. We also offer virtual tutoring, so if a student can't make it in, they can log on do it via Zoom or Teams and have a virtual tutoring session for our students who can't make it to campus.
How about if I needed transportation? Do you have any help in that
We
area?
are very fortunate in that we received a grant from this from the New Jersey Council of Community Colleges that we can provide resources to our students in the form of bus tickets, discount bus passes for New Jersey Transit to help our students who are challenged by having to make a decision about eating, getting to school, paying for a bus. We kind of eliminate that by of providing them with bus tickets on an emergency basis to help them through those challenging times that they have when they have to make those decisions.
How about if I needed eyeglasses or vision care?
We have a vision care program here, again, one of the few colleges that have a vision care, community college in the state, that can actually provide vision care services to our centers at a nominal or no cost to the student.
Okay. All right, we know since the pandemic there's even been a rise in the need for mental health. If a student really needed to access or get in contact with someone about mental health counseling, what should they reach out, and what's the information of how they can get access?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because sometimes we try to help students develop a behavior of asking for help and not feel stigmatized by it. So our Department of Student Development and Counseling houses our 3 mental health counselors that we have that's available to them. So all they have to do is go up to Student Development Counseling, located on the 4th floor, ask to speak with a counselor. It's very confidential. Nice. It's done in a very private session way that they can access mental health services from our counselors on campus. Now also, from the Office of the Secretary of Higher Education, we have a Community Partners in Mental Health grant where we can actually link them up with mental health services delivered by our mental health agencies that we work with in the community.
Oh, okay. In other words, we have additional referrals.
That we can refer them to mental health services to our partners at no cost to them, that can provide them with in-person, one-on-one mental health counseling to the students.
All right, so let's go over your wraparound services again. We have everything from tutoring. I don't want to miss any.
Well,
tutoring.
no, let's go to child care.
Child care.
Let's go to tutoring.
Nice.
Let's go to food pantry for students of food insecure, mental health services, games and not games, student activities and events that are meant to, clubs.
That help them socialize.
Yeah, because there are a lot of studies to concern, especially the work done by Tito, who talks about student retention, his seminal work, talks about engagement of students in integrating them into the college environment, helps to ensure their success and their retention, and hopefully leads to graduation, which is the ultimate goal of our college, to, as our president say, access, bring them here to success, to help retain them and ensure that they achieve their goal and finish their degrees and go on from there.
Now, I also know that you have the very important responsibility to chair our Hall of Fame, which will be opening sometime in 2025. Talk to me about this Hall of Fame for our athletic department. What's that all about, and what's it going to look like?
Well, we're very excited about the fact that we're going to be launching our inaugural Hall of Fame either late March or early April 2025. And the whole purpose of it is to acknowledge the success of our student athletes, our student teams, our coaches, and our administrators that contributed to the great history of our athletic department.
Talk to me a little bit about that history. What's that history look like? What's been some of the milestones, or what can we?
Well, first of all, we are very proud to say that we had Olympians that competed in the Olympics. Matter of fact, we had 2 athletes from our track team that competed in the United States Olympics just this past June. So we had that. So we have Olympians. We have academic All-Americans that have received all honors and have gone on to 4-year colleges, D1 college universities, and run for those schools. Also, we have athletes that are part of professional track association from our college that have expired and go on. Our basketball teams, we've played for national championships. Our soccer teams, we've won Region 19 Garden State Athletic Conference championships. And all of our events, and our men's and women's basketball, for that matter, have gone on to receive earned championships in their respective sports over the years.
And so when we set up this Hall of Fame, it's going to be where will it be located?
Thank you. It's going to be housed in the Cleo Hill Jr. Physical Education Building. We have a designated space that we have. The design currently is going to be interactive, where if you talk or you press a button or something, it'll give you a history or story of the athletes and their accomplishments that they have. So we're pretty excited about it, and we have a very good committee of people who's working to make that dream come true, the vision that our president have and our trustee member have, and we're going to work to see that to fruition.
Well, listen, Dr. Kirkland, we can't thank you for all you do. Thank you for your many years of service to the students in this community. You've been a real leader here at Essex County College, so thank you for all that you do. Thank you, Dr. Kirkland, for that very important information. You have been watching Essex County College's Community Education Forum. For more information on Essex County College, visit our website at essex.edu. And to catch any of our community education forums, you can check us out on Facebook or YouTube. I'm your host, Alfred Bundy. We will see you next time.
You've been watching Essex County College's Community Education Forum. For more information on Essex County College, visit essex.edu. To catch any of our Community Education Forum shows, check out Facebook or YouTube. We'll see you next time.